Guys, today on the channel, go fly Aikon Hex35. All right, guys, here we are today with GoFly, otherwise known as Aikon, newest release. This is the Hex35, and isn't it funky? Check out the hexagonal shaped prop guards on here. It has 3.5-inch propellers. It has motors that can handle 6S. We have TBS Crossfire on there, and I have a Cadex Vista with a nebula camera up front, and we have shroud protection around the camera, which I love. It has decent protection for the camera side to side here. It's kind of an injection molded mount, and we've got a full-size GoPro mount up here. So it will carry a GoPro, or it will carry a decased GoPro. So let's go out without further ado. Let's fly this guy and see how it compares to what they released in the past. I enjoyed that quad. It had the remember the really thin carbon fiber prop guards on there. So let's see how their new release flies in comparison, and is it a competitor to the Cinebot 30? Because right now Cinebot 30 is kind of ruling the pool. So let's see how the Hex35 does. Okay, let's give it a flight test. Hex35 on a 6S 1300 battery, and right away I have to say the tune feels softened up quite a bit. And maybe Aikon did that because it is a Cinewhoop. I did see a bit of vibration at the top of that tree climb. Not bad coming back down. And I just want to kind of get in here, do some flips and rolls with it, and some high-speed stuff as well across the parking lot, just to give it kind of an all-around test. So as far as Cinewhoops go, the straight line tracking feels good. It feels kind of soft and floaty. And I have to say the yaw snap on here, the yaw direction controls, again, they do feel pretty softened up. So if this is what you want to do with it, cinema style, it's definitely going to do that, no problem. And here I'm just kind of pushing the controls a little bit to see what I can get away with as far as washout goes. And I haven't seen a whole lot of washout. I did get a little tiny, there's a kickback right there. Just a little bit of washout, but not major. Not like some of the other Cinewhoops that I've flown. So it's kind of handling itself on 6S, which you know, I was expecting. The other one that they made, you know, the Geek 35, flies amazing. And I think this one might have some hesitation in the hard maneuvers because of the extra large prop guards that we have on here. So, but that's kind of, you know, increasing the durability of the Hex35. So I think if you fly it how it's intended, it's a pretty solid quad, and not a bad release. Second release from our friends over at Aikon. And I'm starting to feel it now, and I feel like you can power loop this thing, as crazy as it is. But then again, on a 6S battery, I'm not super surprised. 2004 series motors also work pretty good for 6S. Any Cinewhoop. There's a pretty hard yaw snap right there, and that's where the DJI Avata will just lose its mind right there and tumble to the ground. Not these type of quads. They can handle even a low roll like that. Not bad. So I think it's a good quad for what it is. I don't see a whole lot wrong with it, but you know, give it 6 months. All these quads have an expiration date, right? So you can freestyle it, and you could cinema this one. So not bad, Aikon. Not bad. Just barely made it out of that one. Let's go back to the bench, guys, and give you my opinion on the specifics. Here we go. All right, guys, welcome back from the flight test. This quad, as it sits with the Nebula on board, it's going to be around the $400 price point. It looks like $439 for the Cadex with the Nebula camera like I have on there. They also have an HD RunCam Wasp version with a Cadex Vista, and they also make an analog version that costs around $257. Now this one is the 6S version with the 6S motors, 3.5-inch props on here, and it's 247 grams on the scale. If I put my friendly 6S 1050 on here, that's going to get us up to 417 grams. Say you added a decased GoPro on there, and then you're looking at around 446 grams. So I think the weight is fairly lightweight. And let's just get into the specifics of this quad, and then I'll talk about how it flies, you know, versus the original Geek 35. I think that there's some differences here. Now this one seems to be made more for durability. These prop guards, they are kind of where the quad gets its name. It's the Hex35, and when I first opened the box, I was like, oh man, a Hex from Aikon. That would be super awesome. I thought it was a hexacopter. No, it's hexagonal shaped prop guards. And they're pretty easy to get off. I like the fact also that this is a very simple frame to work on. It's only a top plate unibody style. And I like that they have these grommets here for adding the battery cable up, and it doesn't rub on the quad. It also gives it a home. A lot of times I'm like having to do some zip tie on the battery cable, so that's nice to see. We also have a nice 6S capable XT60 here. We've got my TPU mount in the back for my Mortal T, and just underneath there is where my Crossfire Nano hangs out. I've got my Link antenna coming out the back. It's not a super tall antenna, but I never really have that much problem with getting an FPV signal back to my goggles too over here. It works great. Now, 4 bolts release this bottom carbon plate. They have 4, looks like TPU bumpers here for landing. So these are kind of your landing feet. And then on the top, let's see where the top bolts are. So we have 2 standoffs, one here on this side and one here. And that allows us to take off the prop guards. I think there's 2 more bolts, one here and one here, that will release. Yeah, there's one through here. So once these 4 are gone, you should be able to take about, I guess, a total of about 6 bolts will release these prop guards. Also in the back, this is kind of a nice detail. If you had the analog one, you can also run your analog antenna through here and have it mounted on this back plate right here. They have a TPU mount here, which is kind of something I just now noticed. That's kind of cool. Now the wheelbase on this guy is 138 millimeters. And the 6S motors on board are 2004 1800 kV. If you get the 4S version, it's going to be 2900 kV brushless motors. And living just underneath this carbon plate right here, just above the prop guard, you can see where the Caddx Vista port is there. I also have access to the bind button to bind up to the DJI goggles too. It wasn't hard to get to, just a bamboo skewer in there, push that button, and it's going to be bound to your DJI goggles too. Just above that, we have the flight controller, and that's pretty accessible as well with that port. You can just barely get your USB connector past the prop here. You don't have to take the prop guards off. You don't have to take the props off to be able to get to that USB port. That's super nice. And that flight controller is mounted to the top plate right here. It's a 20x20 setup. It is an F7 AIO flight controller also. So that's kind of nice that they have an F7. And they have some beastie ESCs on here. They have 60 amp ESCs on this quad. That's pretty 6S capable. And these props did look familiar to me pulling it out of the box. They're the Gemfan D90s. I've flown these before. They're pretty smooth, and as far as Cinewhoops go, they're super quiet, so you'll have less Karens coming up to you for these props. On 6S, you can do some ripping, but I have to talk about the tune on here as well as the flight performance. As far as a freestyler goes, it's a good freestyler. I wouldn't say it's the best. I think these extra thick prop guards right here maybe give it more tumble susceptibility. On the big dives from the trees, it did okay. As far as power loop goes, it did give me some kickback where I had some wobble and some washout with this flight controller and these larger prop guards. I think that the Geek 3.5 that they made is actually a better freestyler with the carbon prop guards. So this one I think is made more for durability for maybe beginners. But the carbon fiber one they made before, that one just freestyles better. It's a better freestyle quad. Now, if you're gonna fly that for a cinema and you're gonna go slow, don't worry about having carbon fiber prop guards. And if you're gonna fly slow, you probably won't even break these. And I think that the Hex35 is just an answer to people out there saying, well, the Geek 3.5 looks nice, but I'm gonna break those carbon prop guards. So they were like, well, hey, we'll make a version with ultra tanky prop guards, and there you go, Hex35 came out. So I think that's cool because you can also get some different color Hex35 prop guards. So maybe they'll do some color ones as well. But as far as gear on this quad, I like the motors. The 2004 motors are good. I like the tune on here. It's pretty good. It could be better. I also like that I can fly it on 6S, and I can put a full-size 1050, or I even flew a 1400 milliamp battery on this quad, and it was still freestyle with a 1400 with all that weight. So you can put crossfire on here, you can put ELRS, or you can put a variety of different free sky or even a spectrum receiver on here. So yeah, and you can even use this DJI radio, which I don't recommend. So I appreciate you guys watching my reviews. This one was decent. I would say that this one gets 4 stars out of 5. Taking an entire star off maybe for the tune, or maybe it's the flight characteristic, me trying to freestyle something that's not really a freestyle quad with thicker prop guards on there. So take that with a grain of salt, but you can check out our link down below and you can go directly to GoFly's website and you can check it out and see what kind of options might fit what you're looking for. But I appreciate you guys watching my reviews, guys. I'm Justin Davis, and I will have another awesome review coming up for you very soon.